On you.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for watching JGTechBlog. It's your boy JG and JG Nation. Again, this is the Sunday podcast, like we're usually seeing. I have the guest Sneed, and for those that are coming from the Sneed channel, welcome to JGTechBlog. It's good to have you guys here. And so today we're going to be talking about a couple things. Number one, you guys guessed it, it's already in the title, the LG Stylo 5, which I think is a total failure. And then hopefully we're going to go on to a new phone that's being introduced to Metro by T-Mobile that I've got my leaks on. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about Visible Wireless. And I Sneed himself, he's actually now using Visible Wireless, and he can kind of like give us a quick overview about that. But it's great to have you, Sneed. How's it been? How's it going?
Pretty good, JG. It's good to be here, man. I love this podcast. The group is good. Topics are good. It's a hot time in wireless right now. There's a lot happening. We've got the merger. We've got Visible getting rid of their speed cap. We've got new devices that are coming out. There's a lot to be excited for. So, yeah, good, exciting times. Yeah,
that is interesting. Yeah, and to be honest with you, with the people that we have, the fans, the subscribers on my channel and on your channel, I've seen them nothing but supportive and amazing people. So I really shout out to everybody that's on the live stream, all the fans. You guys are the best, literally. Thank you guys so much for being here for JG and for Sneed's channel.
You guys are good. Well, you guys are the best. Thank you for the support.
All right, so I don't know if you guys have heard. So the LG Stylo 5, not for Metro, but the Cricket model has been introduced, and it was surprising because we were actually expecting it to go to the market after Metro by T-Mobile. I thought personally, because last year and the previous years, that Metro by PCS in previous years was the first carrier to get the LG Stylo, and they kind of I don't know if it was a trick on their behalf or what. But on the phone, the leaks for the phones that we seen, it actually said July 15th, if I'm not mistaken,
right?
For the Metro by T-Mobile. And for Cricket, it was actually, I think, August 25th or something like that. So we were like, okay, it's the normal, usually the Metro model comes out and the Cricket model comes out. Surprisingly, the Cricket model is already out, and it's disappointing to say the least. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show you guys the specs.
So JG, these are confirmed. This is what's on the box.
Yeah. So I'm gonna actually, if you want, I can actually share the Stylo 5 that is on Cricket itself.
So would they advertise this on the website?
Yeah. I've seen this on the website. So do you guys see my screen by any chance?
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. So you see that Stylo 5? Let me see if I can score it. 229.
Right.
Okay. So they basically you can already go and buy it, and you can actually go to the stores and you can add it to the cart right now, and you can buy it online. You can buy it online, or you can buy it in the stores already. So it's available. There are certain markets that's not available yet. So I actually called a couple stores here in my area, and they actually don't have it in stock. So I was surprised. Probably other areas and other markets that would probably already have it in the stores. But what's interesting is that if I'm actually made a Excel spreadsheet, and I put down the models between the previous Stylo 4 and the Moto G7. For those that are not familiar with the Moto G7, that is being sold with Metro PCS. If you guys can see that right there now on the screen.
So these are very comparable devices, so we're pitting them up against each other.
Yes. Okay. And so I put on the Stylo 4, LG Stylo 4 Cricket from last year, and then you could see the LG Stylo 5 this year. And at the top, I actually made a mistake. It's not Metro, it's Cricket. And then right next to it's Moto G7. So if you look at the specs, they're very similar. And that's very disappointing because we actually thought, or I did, you actually won in this bet. And I was surprised. It's like you said, you predicted that they won't go up to the 632 Snapdragon, and it turns out to be true. They stuck with the 1.8 gigahertz Snapdragon 450. They're 3 gigabytes of RAM, and the battery is 3,500 milliamp.
Wait a minute. So the G7, the Motorola, the Moto, is using a 6 series Snapdragon?
Correct.
And they're pinned up in terms of price points?
That's, what's crazy. You see, it's $179 for the Moto G7, while it's 229 for the Cricket model. So I know
Wow.
usually the Metro model is a little bit cheaper, but that right there kind of like puts me on edge, because if 229 you were getting this features from Cricket, if the Metro model comes out for $200, what are we gonna get? Another 2 GB of RAM?
It's
That's gonna be
unacceptable at that price point, because if you're getting a Moto G7, you're
Mhm.
probably getting a far superior device just in processing speeds and power by itself.
Yeah, yeah,
And look at that
and
battery size. I mean, that's huge
exactly what I was
difference.
gonna say. 5,000 milliamp battery, right? That's ridiculous.
And
So
JG, I can do math as a percentage. So 1500 more milliamp hour in terms of capacity. So we're talking, I mean, like 40% almost difference in capacity. That's a
yeah,
difference of probably at least 3/4 to a full day difference
and
in
and
terms of
and
battery life on a day.
if you look at the price, it's cheaper than the
Honestly,
LG
the
G7.
operating system on that Moto is probably going to be better also, JG.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's getting updated to Pi, Android 9, but the UI, the user experience will be better.
So, is for the Moto G7.
Yeah.
So the Moto G7 is rocking 9.0 Pi. Uh,
Oh, then it's it's
yeah.
winning this one, man. I think it's pretty easy to see.
No, it's not only that. So the display, it's not only 1080 p resolution, it's 19 by 9 aspect ratio compared to the 18 by 9 aspect ratio that's on the Stylo 5.
Well, I mean, that's not necessarily better because the number is higher. It's the way that the phone is very tall.
Yeah, but
So,
you do also have a notch. I gotta mention the Moto G7 does
okay.
have a notch. So people that don't like the notch, that might kind of lean you over to the Stylo 5. Also, there is a stylus pen. So if you are big on the stylus pen, that's probably another reason to go with the Stylo 5. But if you look at, let's say, the price, 229 to 179, definitely hands down the Moto G7. If you look at the Snapdragon processor, most definitely the 632's beats the 450 that's on the Stylo 5. And last but not least, you have the 5,000 milliamp battery compared to the 3,500. So that is why I put in the title, don't buy. Honestly, if this was me going into a store, I don't want a stylus pen. It's just me. Maybe you have a different preference. Maybe you like that stylus pen and you got to have it. Then without a doubt, go with the Stylo 5. But if you don't really need it, then I don't see why you would get the Stylo 5 compared to the G7. I mean, what do you think, Snade?
I would say that the make or break, the only argument you could make for the LG would be the stylus pen. The other exception could possibly be camera performance, but I'm expecting the Moto to be as good or better in terms of camera
Yeah,
performance. I mean, and the system in terms of the user experience, the user interface. I mean, day to day, you're going to be having a better time with the user experience of the Moto. They just, in the years past, and I'm sure in this case as well, the software seems to run very smooth. 3 gigs of RAM on a Moto device is plenty. It's a very stock experience, like similar to what Google does with their Pixel phones. I just, I could not promote the LG over the Moto unless it was the stylus. That's all I could really say.
yeah. Yeah. And so, to be honest with you, when I first seen these specs, I was really disappointed. I was going to go out and buy it so I can compare it with the G7. But I was like, you know what? From previous years, I've seen that the Metro model usually is different. So I'm hoping, like we've seen, with the switch up with Cricket coming out with the phone before Metro, I'm hoping this year that the Metro model is going to be better than the Cricket model. Who knows? Who knows, right?
I will say it depends on the carrier. Like, I don't know, like last year we saw different RAM configurations depending on the carrier, and we also saw a different processor, a MediaTek processor and boost version of the LG Stylo 4. So we don't know if there's any variation going from one carrier model to another, but as it stands with this Cricket variant, because it's available, it looks like a far superior device than its direct competition, which that doesn't stand well for its sales if you're
Yeah.
LG.
Exactly. And so I have a feeling that I don't know if only if LG is really kind of dumbed down, they don't really care about this segment anymore. Otherwise, for them to compete with the Moto G7. Also, there's another phone that's from Metro PCS. I'm gonna try to bring that up in a minute, and we can look at the settings and specs for that. But if they really want to compete in the Metro, because so far for the past 10 years, I've seen LG be on top. They've had the cheapest phones and the best specs.
But it
only
looks like they're resting on their laurels. It looks like they were just
one,
happy to make another phone, like the same
yeah,
thing.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see what's going to be happening, because have a feel like Moto will do a really good comeback if the LG Stylo 5 comes out for Metro. And so we're hoping to see it in the next coming days, and I will try to get my hands on it, and I will compare it to the Metro Moto G7. The reason I didn't go out again to get the Cricket model, because the majority of my subscribers, and again, I'm doing this all for you guys, the majority of them have Metro PCS, Metro by Tmobile. They don't have Cricket. So I want to make sure that I get them the correct model for them so they can compare it. So I can compare it side to side with the Moto G7. Let's go to the chat and see if anybody has questions before we go on to the leaks. Because there is, again, like I mentioned in the beginning, there is a leak for a new phone that just came out for Metro by T-Mobile. All right, let's see here. Actually, can you see if there's any comments?
Sure.
Any
Yeah,
questions?
JG.
And I'm gonna go ahead and share my other screen.
All right, so I'll comment on a couple of different comments and questions we have in the chat. So let me pull this up here. Sanai Plushy says Moto G7 Power destroyed the Stylo 5 even in its price. So that mentions their price point matters to a lot of people. And I think you're very sensitive to that, JG, your understanding of that. And we mentioned that kind of in reviewing the specs.
Correct.
Also, it says from K Deuce, Moto G7 over the LG Stylo 5. I mean, I think that's kind of what we're looking at, and a lot of people agree. Another thing that somebody mentioned was Mikey Tech Review. LG Stylo 5 has a 4 series processor, same as last year. So why are we even calling this a Stylo 5? People are joking in the chat saying Stylo 4.1, Stylo 4.5, showing like a minimalist upgrade.
I don't blame you. That is true.
Another is people are wondering about the Moto G7 being offered on T-Mobile. They're saying that it's a far superior device. People are talking about buying the outright unlocked price, how it's a little bit more. Somebody did mention that the LG Stylo is a laggy phone. And I think when we were talking, like especially when I brought it up, that user experience, that day-to-day interacting with your phone, you could do a lot with a 6 series processor. I have a Google Pixel 3 AXL that is using a Snapdragon 670, so a little bit more performance-based than a 632, but close enough. And I produce content on my YouTube channel with this. I render, record, and edit video and audio all on this device and record on the camera. And it handles everything like a champ, JG. So could I recommend to somebody, go ahead and run your YouTube creating on an LG Stylo 5? Not with those specs, not on a 4 series processor. And definitely not with 2 gigs of RAM.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, because the Metro model had 2 gigs of RAM. So we're not even going to go there.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to recommend. There's no area, there's no feature or anything other than the stylus that you could say the LG holds up, unless you just like LG.
Exactly.
And I could tell you right now, that 5,000 milliamp hour battery, no joke, that is a game changer. When people get a big battery phone, it changes their life, man.
Yeah.
You're no longer tethered to the wall. You're plugging in overnight and you're good. And I don't care what you're doing. You're going to get a full day. I don't care who you are.
And you know what? I have somebody in the comments. He said, I wonder if the Coolpad, what if it's going to be better, right? So let's go ahead and look at that. And I'm going to pull that up right now on my screen. So let's look at the Coolpad Legacy. So this phone, okay, it has Android 9.0. It has a 4,000 milliamp battery.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, 16 megapixel rear-facing camera, 5 megapixel. So it actually has dual cameras. So it has a 16 and a 13 megapixel front-facing camera. Oh no, I'm sorry. So it has. Let me look at the back of this. So it has 16 and a 5 megapixel in the rear, and it has a 13 megapixel in the front.
So we're talking about a dual camera setup on the back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it has a quick charge 3.0. Let me see, where else can I get the specs? Let me see here. Price is $179. By the way, this is $179 before the discounts. So
that's an outright price.
Yeah. So if anybody in the comment section, let me know what you guys if you guys know the price on this, because I do know usually when they put it at 179, they usually don't sell it at that price. That's like the retail price. So it's going to end up being like probably 150, maybe even $99.
If it was to get like a $80 rebate or something like that.
Yeah, like in-store rebate without even doing the mail-in rebate, you know? So let's go ahead and go to the device specs. You have, again, you have an octa-core processor 1.8. Let me see if they have what kind of Snapdragon on here.
Now, being that it's an octa-core processor and it's clocking at 1.8, that is screaming 4 series processor, JG.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
screaming 450, Snapdragon.
I don't see it. They didn't even mention it on here.
I feel like I've covered this on some
Coolpad?
level, and I remember it being a 4 series.
Okay.
In fact,
Well,
actually, if you guys go to the Sneem Mobile Tech YouTube channel, I definitely covered this. It was rumor and speculation at the time, but it was confirmed to have a 400 Snapdragon 450.
okay, so I got people in the chat saying $129. Okay, $129. So what do you
Okay, so
think?
we're talking that's the carrier price?
Yeah, exactly. That's what if you walk into the store. So the full price is 179, but if you walk into the store and you're upgrading, or you already have a line with Metro, they'll sell you on the spot 129.
Okay, fair enough.
And so for that price, for these specs, I have a feeling this is comparable to the Stylo 5.
I will tell you something, JG. I think that this phone will outsell the Stylo 5, not by much, but I think it will outsell it simply on the fact that it is better designed, it's more
Mhm.
attractive, and I think I think the price point is good enough, being that it's going to be between $50 to $90 less.
Exactly. And
And
people, yeah, people
and
usually they
what about that dual camera setup on the back? I think people equate dual cameras as being a better camera solution.
yeah, let me see if I can flip this.
Like, I don't think that 2 cameras makes it a better photo shooter or image processor, but I think some people do. Like, I'm kind of a camera snob. I'm kind of a photo and video snob when it comes to mobile photography. I know what the Google Pixel phones do with 1 camera. But when most people see 2 and 3 cameras on the back of the phone, instantly they think this thing must be superior at photo and video.
Exactly. For some people, when I had my Metro stores and I was working at Metro, a lot of people when they would come in, they would not even look at the specs. The fact that they see those 2 cameras in the back and they see a price of $129, if I try to sell them anything, they're gonna think I'm trying to rip them off. You can be
Right.
like, why? Why are you trying to sell me anything else when this has right in front of me has 4,000 milliamp battery, has dual cameras, it has more megapixels because they think automatically they see more megapixels, better camera, etc., and at a cheaper price. Who would say no? So at the end of the day, you mentioned something which was important, which was design. At the end of the day, the Stylo 5 has the same build quality of the Stylo 4. And one of the biggest problems with the Stylo 4 was that, like I had mentioned in the previous podcast, as soon as you put this phone down, it gets scratched up. Like you feel like you've had the phone for almost a year because the material on it was so bad. And they've kept that same material on to the Stylo 5. That's terrible, man.
Could be a make or break actually for some people. They're going to say, "Well, I wasn't inspired by the design last year. I'm getting the same thing now. What could possibly change in a year?"
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
think Mikey Tech Reviews onto something. He said that gaming lags on a Snapdragon 450. That's for anybody that's coming out of a 6 series device to go back to a 4 series, it's not going to cut it.
You know what? Somebody mentioned the ZTE Blade Z was the first phone at Metro with dual cams. I'm not totally sure about that, but I do recall the ZTE Blade was selling at $99 at Metro, and people they actually stopped buying the Stylo because of the ZTE Blade because of the price. And so,
Was it
although
comparable in terms of performance?
somewhat, the what I'm comparing here is that some people might say, what, but this is ZTE compared to LG. You know what I mean? So
Well, that could be taken a couple different ways, JG, and you could tell me what your customers were saying or your viewers. When I think of ZTE, I think of bargain
yeah,
and performance kind of fused together. Like you can get a phone that's going to be priced very well with some decent specs, and then cost is going to be very good, But like with ZTE, you're getting close to stock software. It's not like LG. I think honestly, LG, if they take a step back from some of their customizations, their software can be better.
Oh yeah.
So honestly, if I'm looking at an LG and a ZTE that have the same processor, I'm leaning towards ZTE if the battery size is bigger.
And it was on the ZTE Blade compared to the other models.
I
So
feel like the Blade was a 6 series processor, JG.
uh, on the ZTE Blade, really?
I feel like the Blade 2 or the Blade Z, was there other models of this phone?
Yeah, I think this was the latest models that came out. Correct. Yeah, I do agree with you. And I just want to give a shout out to Paul Tech. Paul Tech, he's a longtime YouTuber that we go way back right here on the channel. What's up, Paul Tech? Great to have you with us. And let me go ahead and start talking just for the sake of time. Talk about the new phone that is being released to Metro by T-Mobile. So the LG K40 is coming out to Metro. And once you see these settings or specs, it's very disappointing. So let me see. Do you see it right now? Did it pop up?
Yeah, you've got a 5.7-inch display. It is coming in at 720p.
Exactly. So you're talking about 5.7-inch display. It's an 18:9 ratio. It has a 13 megapixel rear camera and a 5 megapixel front-facing camera. Has a Snapdragon 450 1.8 gigahertz octa-core, 32 gigabytes of internal memory with 2 gigabytes of RAM, and the battery is 2890 milliamp battery. It does have a fingerprint ID and facial recognition. No stylus pen. None of that. And it's going to be releasing July 10th. You guys heard it here first. July 10th is going to be releasing. That's about a week before the Stylo 5 is supposed to be releasing. And it's going to be $189.
Wow.
$189.
JG, this is I don't like the chances of this phone selling at 189.
No. I don't know.
There is absolutely no value and performance in that buy.
No, nothing. So, now that we've talked about the Coolpad and we've talked about the G7 and we've talked about these two models, the LG Stylo 5 and the LG K40, that kind of tells you, LG, you got to wake up. If anybody's from LG is watching us right now, what is going on over there?
Like, this type of device has to be, I'm going to repeat it again, has to be given for free on an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way they're going to get $180 out of somebody for a 720p resolution display, a 2900 milliamp hour battery. This phone probably won't even get a security update, let alone a software update.
That's a joke.
So this phone, it's got to be the freebie. You walk in a store, you're looking for a quick fix to a connectivity solution, they get you on the K series right here.
Yeah. Honestly, for those that have the K30 or even the K30 Plus, and I don't even know why they came out with the K30 Plus. I think about a week or two ago. If you're going to come out with the K40, what was the point of the K30?
Honestly, they're rocking a 4 series processor, a small battery, a 720p display. I can't jive with that, JG. That ain't cutting it, man.
I don't know what they're thinking. Somebody over there in LG needs to get fired or something. Because
I think it's just a lack of sensitivity to the market, like knowing what's going on there. Like
maybe.
For $40, I'm assuming the same pricing by carrier, for $40 more, you're getting a legendary Stylo device. Like in terms of that hardware, you're getting an extra feature that no other phone really has except for a Note. There's nothing that this phone can hang its hat on. Nothing.
No, exactly. I want to hear from the people and the fans and the subscribers in the comments. What do you guys think? Because I do know a lot of my subscribers. I might get hate. I don't know. I might get hate for this video, by the way, because there's a lot of diehard fans, LG diehard fans, in my subscription base. So I want to see what you guys think. What do you guys think about this?
And I think you're okay. I think people understand where you're coming from, JG.
I hope so, because sometimes like the HTC came out with a phone a while back, and because I said that, look, I don't get paid, and I think as you as well for Sneed, we don't get paid by anybody. We come here, we say the truth, right. We say our opinions and what we think is right, is wrong, what's bad, what's good. And that's actually how I started my YouTube channel, right? When I was back in Metro, my first couple videos, they were the good and the bad Metro PCS phones. What I realized is whenever I talked kind of like not so much good things about a certain phone, I would get so much hate by those fans that either are kind of like hardcore on HTC, LG,
Right.
Samsung,
Right.
So I want to know what you guys think. I see Scott Thompson. He says LG is failing hard. JG, are you a manager at Metro? No, I am not. I am not affiliated to in Metro or any carrier at all in any way or form.
I will say this, JG, the objectivity of YouTube viewers, sometimes they feel compelled to defend the manufacturer of the phones that they purchase. It's almost
Yes.
like, like if you look at iPhone users, for example, they're not like vicious in any way, but they do defend the Apple product. And there's
Right.
people that, like the Samsung White Knights, as they call them,
Uh-huh.
they will defend the Galaxy devices against any other manufacturer. And it's just, I feel like it's like if you're either with us or against us. You can't be somewhere in the middle, which is what we do. We are in the
Exactly.
middle trying to say, here's what I like about this device. Here's what you could take advantage of. Here's what is considered a con or a negative. You have to be mindful of this. We are trying to educate. We're trying to notify people about things. Hopefully they understand our stance as just trying to, you know, give them an understanding of what the device has to
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I see this all the time. Like if I go off and, even if I record with an iPhone, sometimes you'll have people, going off on me like, oh, he's recording. He's a, Apple fanboy, blah, 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 and this and that. Listen, there's some good stuff that is with Apple and with the iPhone and its ecosystem. And there's some good stuff with Samsung. Like you just said, it doesn't have to be, cutthroat this way or that way. There are some good things here and there are some good things here. And, we're here to say the truth and honest opinion about the specs, about what's, what the phones are out there. And so my opinion right now, LG's doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
I've said it previously. They've done good things, but this is, it's not cutting it.
So here's the situation, JG. I think what LG is doing is they're concentrating on their V series. They're concentrating on that premium segment because they
Yeah.
think that's going to be their claim to fame. That's going to be their like saving grace. But in reality, LG should probably be thinking about their mid-range and entry level, giving people more value to compete with the Motos because right now, Moto is killing the game with the G7. They killed the game with the G6. They've killed the game in years past with all their mid-range. They're killing it. Because if I was to send somebody to Metro or Boost, the first place I would send them is pick up a G series
Yeah,
phone because for the value, it's the best. And for the
absolutely.
user experience, it's very good. LG's playing catch up now. They've let Moto kind of take over the segment.
You said exactly what somebody said in the comments. He said the Stylo 5 will let Motorola rise again and dominate the mid-range market. And this was true previously. And then LG kind of stepped up its game. But now it seems like Moto is going to, dominate. And shout out to Mill Hustle. He said the only upgrade the new Stylo got is the number went from 4 to 5.
Yeah.
And then Paul Tech, he said something. There's a lot of comments, so sorry if I don't get to everybody, by the way. But Paul Tech, he said, keep an eye out for the Samsung A series of phones coming soon. Samsung affordable line about to put all of these phones to shame. And I kind of agree because last year, if I'm not mistaken, the A6 came out to Metro, and the build quality, the processor, the RAM, and the price, I'll be honest, wasn't. It was a little bit higher, but
The A series?
the A series, it was a little bit higher, but the spec, in terms of specs compared, and I kind of did some tests comparing it to the LG Q7 last year, and it honestly it beat it. It beat it in terms of display, the speaker, in gaming, in all of that. And like me and you had talked about in the previous podcast, somebody's going to have to pay for that extra RAM, for that extra processor upgrade. And so I think it was selling at $229 for the A6, while the Q7 was $179. But there was a difference. It's not like, here we're comparing the G7 and the Stylo 5, and if anything, the difference is, it's less, it's not more. So the A6, I hope this year, if it comes out, if people are going to be able to afford a little bit more, I say wait until the A series comes out. And if you have the Stylo 4, if you have any of these old models, wait for the Samsung device and just upgrade to that one. Because I have, and I agree with Paul Tech that it is going to have better specs and it's going to be a better phone.
And when you purchase a Samsung device, you, for the most part, think to yourself, well, I'm going to get a pretty nice display and I'm going to get a pretty good camera,
Mhm.
which are arguably two of some of the more important elements of performance on a phone. So if the camera is superior to all devices in the segment and the display is superior from all devices in the segment, they win. And the price point will only be the issue there. If it comes in at $249, it's easy to say you go with this over the LG or you go with this over the even the Moto if the camera performance is that much better, if the display is that much better. I mean, Moto displays are fine, but we kind of trust in what Samsung is doing with their display technology. They make displays for all manufacturers. What they're doing with
Yep.
OLED is amazing. So, and I don't know if they're going to still use OLED for this line of phones, but if they do, you're probably going with a Galaxy. I mean, just I think the A series stands a chance to actually produce probably the nicest looking phone also,
Mhm.
design wise. So maybe it is a situation where it's a wait, it's a hold. What's the worst that could happen? You end up not liking the Samsung, so you save money later. Now that the phones have been out for a few months, that might be to your advantage.
I want to just say, shout out to the 85 people that are in the chat room. There was, I think I seen it go up to 95 people. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that like button. And, if you guys appreciate what we're doing, the super chats are on. Shout out again, I'm going to plug it in here for Sneed for being on our channel. If you guys don't know him already, Sneed Mobile Tech, I will have his channel linked down below in the description. So I want to say something. The Galaxy last year, you said it had actually a better design. I think it was metal, so it didn't scratch up like the Stylo series. It had a better speaker, it had a better display, and the reason for it having a better display because they make majority of the displays in the market, right? And on top of that, if I'm not mistaken, they make the Exynos processor, right?
Depending on the market. So in the US, many times Samsung is kind of forced to have to use a Qualcomm chip. But if
Okay.
it's an international model, it may be Exynos made. And I think they can kind of get away with it sometimes on the entry level devices. But in most cases, in the US, in the Western part of the world, they try to use Qualcomm chips. So,
Okay.
it,
They
there's a little bit of wiggle room there.
Last year's model, I could be mistaken. If somebody's in the comments, let me know about this. But it was Exynos, and if it was, I've heard that they actually make these processors, because they produce them, because they manufacture them. I could be wrong, but I've heard that they overclock or they clock at a higher speed and better.
Well, they clock at a higher speed, JG, but they heat up a little bit more. So then what
Yes,
happens is like the
you're right.
phone, because it's getting overclocked, the battery drains a little faster, it gets a little hotter, and it degrades. And again, removable batteries are not a thing anymore.
Yes.
So you have to consider longevity. If a phone's heating up because it's being taxed by the processor, it's something to think about.
You, good point. You did mention that because one thing that I've hated Samsung about is their phones always overheat, and I don't, going back to their battery always exploding and stuff like that. Um, so you're right that it was an issue with the overheating. If that was solved, honestly, I think they would do a way better job. Um, let's go ahead and go over to visible wireless. I didn't know too much, but I've heard you talk about it. I kind of looked a little bit about visible wireless when I heard him come out, because to be honest with you, Verizon has one of the best networks, right, in the US.
They do,
And so
absolutely.
when I first heard that they're bringing in unlimited, I was like, oh man, this is going to be big competition to Metro, to Cricket, to all these prepaid carriers.
You know what, JG, before we move forward,
Yeah.
think about every major US carrier, every national carrier. They always have that prepaid arm, right?
Hmm.
So Metro for T-Mobile,
Yeah.
Boost for Sprint, Cricket for AT&T. This is Verizon's answer to that. You can get Verizon prepaid, but Visible is a separate entity that's owned and operated by Verizon, just like we have with those other three guys. So it was just a matter of time until we saw this. And I guess Verizon decided to just pull the trigger on it.
And I was actually surprised why they took this long.
That's a
You
good point.
know,
Like where they been? They're late to the party.
I actually read online that they don't want to even. I don't know if this was a real article or not, but I've heard that they don't want to kind of connect themselves with prepaid. Have you heard that before?
So the biggest problem with Verizon is they understand what profitability is about. They're probably arguably the most profitable brand in wireless. Maybe AT&T is,
Mhm.
but Verizon's right there. And because of that, they view each customer as how are we going to get the most out of this customer? It's hard to do that in prepaid. I mean, prepaid is a lot of squeezing. I compare prepaid sometimes to milking an ant. How much milk can you get out of an ant? I know you've heard that saying before, JG. Don't front on me. All
Yeah.
right. So you ask yourself, how in the world do you milk an ant? But that's what prepaid is, because it's a segment where the cost is very sensitive. But Verizon ignored it for so long, and then they thought to themselves, well, everybody's going to Cricket. They've got 20 million or more subs. I don't know. Maybe it's like 11 to 20. They don't disclose it. Same thing with Boost. Boost has 7 to 8 million. And then you have Metro, which has over 20 million. We want to get in on that money. And I think they
Yeah.
finally realized that it's a segment that needs more attention from their company. So here it is.
Exactly. So from what I know so far about Visible is that it's correct me if I'm wrong. So it's $40 flat. They don't have stores. They don't have. I don't even think that you can call them. It's all like through chat. It's online and stuff like that. So that will cut the costs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And most recently, I heard that they actually don't even have a cap on the unlimited anymore. I don't know any other prepaid company that even has that type of capability. They all have caps on how much unlimited data that you can use. So if this is like true and you're using this, I want you to tell me more about it. This is honestly better than Metro, better than Cricket, better than Boost. You're right.
So, yeah. So if I could just quickly kind of plug the Steen Mobile Tech YouTube channel. I've got like 3 videos on Visible. I've got an intro to the service. I've got a tutorial on how to set it up and order a SIM. And then I've kind of got like my first impressions of it and stuff like that. But like what I'm seeing with the service is previously, up until this weekend, this service was operating at a speed cap of 5 megabits per second. Download speed, upload speed, hotspot speed. It was 100% unlimited before. It's still 100% unlimited. The difference now is they have lifted that 5 megabits per second speed cap, and it's uncapped. And essentially what they're saying is whatever you can get from Verizon towers, this is going to be what your speeds will be. And
Wow.
I have Verizon postpaid, and now I have this Visible line, and I speed test them simultaneously at the same time. I've been doing it all day today. I did it all day yesterday. On cell towers where I'm getting 100 plus megabits per second on my postpaid line, I'm seeing about 20 megabits per second on the Visible.
Wow. That is
Upload, here's even more interesting. Upload on my Verizon postpaid, I'm getting about 40 megabits per second. I'm getting 40 megabits per second on upload on the Visible. So there's no cap on the upload at all. The download is just a slightly neutered version of postpaid. And then the hotspot's still set at 5 megabits per second, which still, if you think about it, JG, you could run a tablet on 5 megabits per second.
Mhm.
You could do anything you need on a MacBook or a Chromebook, any type of email, sending and receiving files. It's usable. But here's the kicker. We're talking Verizon's network.
Yes.
Nobody offers LTE availability like Verizon. I've checked every third-party researcher, field networking test, by driving, by crowdsourcing. Nobody can argue with me. Verizon has the LTE over the nation. There's no, you hands down. Not even AT&T has the LTE availability. It's close, but it's not. Now, they're saying we're giving you some speed here. That's where the value is in this. You can get a $35 unlimited plan that really neuters your speeds. They're saying that if you're a current Visible customer, and as long as you keep this plan, we'll honor this lifted cap. So if you're getting Visible, now's the time. In fact, if you
Wow.
go to my most recent video, get the visible code out of there, the referral code, they're taking $20 off your first month. $20 a month for that first month.
You know what? If this stays this way, I don't know how Metro. I mean, game on, game on. Seriously, competition is gonna go out the roof with cricket. No, let's not even talk about cricket. Cricket's doing a terrible job, right? And then Boost Mobile. Hopefully, this merger thing is gonna help them, rise again.
It will absolutely. Yeah.
But let's just talk about Metro, right? Metro has been, to be honest, in my view, one of the best prepaid so far. Their network, is not the best comparable to Verizon, but for the price, for the promos that they have, for the phones, the accessibility in terms of like the customer service, going to the stores, availability, all of that. Usually, hands down, I would say Metro is the winner. And then I think even their network has got much better since they've got bought out by T-Mobile. But now with what you're saying with Visible, this is a big deal. As a business perspective, honestly, if I had the opportunity, I would, if they gave us up the opportunity to be dealers, I would open 10, 20 stores of Visible stores, because I have a feeling they'll do so good.
There's a couple things, though, to think about, JG, and I'm not trying to rain on the parade, but there's no way the Verizon network can sustain Visible being uncapped, and I'll explain why. Verizon, while it does have the most LTE availability in the nation, and it's not even close, they're also the most congested network out of all four, and it's not even close. To give you perspective, I'm going to give you some numbers everybody can understand, percentages. Verizon operates at a 59% capacity in its network. No other carrier in the nation operates above 33%. T-Mobile is like at 28% capacity. Sprint's at 23%. AT&T is like 32%. So Verizon, if I had to explain it, it's like Verizon's getting squeezed right now. But they've ignored prepaid so long, they're like, we have to do this. So what they did was, to get the notoriety, to get some attention, to get some traffic, let's lift the cap. Let's give people some speeds and let's get them on the network. I predict within 2 or 3 months, Visible's uncapped will receive a cap. It's not going to get brought down to 5 megabits per second anymore. It's going to be probably like 10. It's going to be just slightly better than what Cricket's doing on their cap. Well, are they still capping at 8 megabits per second?
Yeah.
They're gonna go just slightly above that. They're gonna say keep the unlimited, where they're gonna keep you around 10 to 12 megabits per second. Which, by the way, JG, you could do full HD with 8 to 10 megabits per second. So the resolution on your display is, you can take advantage of it. I just don't think they're gonna be able to sustain the 15 to 20 or the 20 to 25 that I'm currently seeing.
And so this is a good opportunity for those, again, for those that are interested in changing carriers. You won't get that poured in promo like Metro's giving out free phones. By the way, this recent deal they had, they have a free G7, a free LG Stylo 4, a free Coolpad. If you just open a line with them, they're literally giving phones for free now. But this is an opportunity. If you're trying to go to Visible Wireless, go check out the reception in the videos that Sneed has done on his channel. And again, they do have a code. And shout out to Raphael, the moderator inside the chat. He has put the code. If anybody is interested in going to Visible, use this code. You get $20 off. I'm not sure, but we have 91 people in the chat room. Can we get some likes? I think we have only 19 likes on here. Can we get more likes? Thank you all for being here. And this is an opportunity. A lot of stuff is going on. Visible Wireless is coming in. The merger, we're waiting for some conclusions on what's going on. Has there been any new news on the merger?
So, like right now, kind of what's happening with the merger is it's kind of in a holding phase. It's nothing that T-Mobile is doing. It's nothing that's wrong with the merger. Nothing from the DOJ side. The current issue is Charlie Ergen. So for those of you that don't know who Charlie Ergen is, he is the chairman of Dish Network. Dish is potentially the fourth new carrier that will kind of be created out of the merger. And Charlie Ergen is the 40th wealthiest person in the US. I mean, this guy has a lot of money. He's very successful. all those great things. But JG, if I had to describe him in one word, he is shrewd. He is a nightmare in negotiations. This guy, remember I was talking about milk and ants? This
Yeah.
guy, he is that. He's going to try to get everything out of this merger that he can. He wants a deal out of the FCC. He wants them to waive the March 2020 deadline for their IoT network. He's trying to get more spectrum out of the DOJ and, T-Mobile and Sprint so they can continue to roll out their new network. I mean, he wants time guarantees. He wants spectrum. He's taking Boost, obviously. He's the holdup. The merger is safe. The merger is going to happen. I am 100% confident in that. The problem now is who's going to be the fourth carrier? The DOJ wants Dish. But Charlie Ergen is like, I want as much as I can get. He's really bad. He's really bad at closing deals, and this is why.
Okay, well, you know what? I can see why he would do that. And let's be honest here, from a business perspective, who would not, right? Because he sees that he has the upper hand because right now, T-Mobile wants this merger to happen. Sprint wants this merger to happen. They need it. They want it bad. And so they're like, okay, we're going to give away this much. We're going to be doing this. And so he sees the opportunity. He has the power. So, when the negotiation table is going on, and I'm pretty sure they're happening right now, and they're not leaking all that in new info, but he's trying to take, like, okay, it's to my advantage. This is what I need. This is what I want from you guys. And, so we'll see. As long at the end of the day, if the FCC and the DOJ make sure that the consumers at the end are who will benefit from this merger, I don't mind. I don't think anybody here in the chat minds. We want this to go through. It'll benefit people with Boost. It benefit the market, the competition. The states going to sue is just nonsense. It makes no sense why they would even do something like that. This is the benefit for the consumer, if anything. But yeah, man. So this is all good news. A lot of stuff are going on here. Let's see if there's any comments, questions from our subscribers.
So go ahead, JG, and look at some of the highlighted things you want to get from your from the live chat. But I will say there's only my live streams, the group that watches mine, they're in on some knowledge that probably nobody else has. I have some inside information. The current issue with T-Mobile and Sprint, for those that don't know, their parent companies are Deutsche Telekom for T-Mobile, which is a German company, and then it's SoftBank, which is a Japanese conglomerate. They're in talks with Charlie Ergen to show you how deep these conversations and meetings are. It's not just an American business thing. This has spilled over international waters. It's in very serious stages. And also keep in mind, Dish has options. We've talked about this on my live streams. Dish is weighing a fourth carrier merger with T-Mobile and Sprint. They're also weighing being bought out by Verizon because of their spectrum holdings. And they're also weighing just staying packed and building out their 5G IoT network. They're looking at this like, this has to be great for us or else we're not doing it.
I actually see a comment from Mill Hustle, and he mentioned something, and this is true. I do remember this. Simple Mobile didn't have caps. They're MVNO under T-Mobile, for those that don't know. But honestly, let's compare. You're comparing, apples and oranges, because the MVNO of Simple Mobile under T-Mobile compared to Visible Wireless under Verizon. So Verizon, regardless, will still be a better option to go with.
Nationally.
Yeah. Let me see here. Are there going to be the latest version of the Q series by LG? I've lost hope, Tobez. I've lost hope with LG, honestly. They might come out with a Q series. We don't know yet, but definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel. If there is a Q series coming out that I think is going to be, competing with the A series, I will definitely let you guys know. Sneed Pete has a question.
What is the question? Do you have it there?
Not sure. Somebody commented that. That's a lot of. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of comments coming in.
You might have to start doing a couple streams a week, JG.
Wow, this is
You're gonna have to split up these live streams because you know what's really nice about what's been happening with the channel is it's transformed. It's become kind of like a two-part channel. You've got a strong following in the live stream and the podcast, which is a very vocal group. It's very involved, and you get to interact with the community more, uh, along with the production of videos. And I feel like that dynamic is what sets channels apart. So, when I tune in to watch live streams from tech YouTubers, if I'm unimpressed by them, I don't come back for the live streams, right? I'll watch their
Yeah.
videos, but and that's kind of what is happening, I think, with your channel as well as mine. I'm seeing it's become very community based, which I really enjoy, and I'm sure
I love that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's actually what I see with your channel as well. And, that's what 77 people here. I really, really appreciate you guys, because without you guys, we can't be doing this. We won't be doing these videos. And it's this interaction that I love. You guys have questions for us. We see what we can give you guys from information, any leaks, any info about new phones, new carriers. You see, Sneed here is trying out the visible wireless to see how good the network is. It's all for you guys at the end of the day to see what's the best network, what's the best phones that the consumer can use on a daily basis.
And consider the Discord server. We put up screenshots, we show speed tests, we discuss the issues that we're having with certain carriers. It's really valuable insight to the consumer. And I think because you're getting the user experience, nobody's selling anything.
Exactly.
I don't make a dime off of any carriers. And honestly, that's the way it has to be, or else my credibility is going to be questioned, and I can't have that. So I'm giving you guys, I paid for my visible SIM card setup. I'm paying for the service, and I want it that way. So I can give you the consumer perspective.
And mentioning the Discord, actually, Raphael, if you can put the link to the Discord in the chat or in the description, because to be honest with you, that is where a lot of interaction out of the live stream happens. On a daily basis, you have people commenting, showing screenshots, pictures of the speeds of the new phones, the leaks, all of that. So make sure to, join us on Discord. On Twitter, also, we have a Twitter account, Instagram. There was a question. Actually, not a question. Somebody stated that there is the G7 free right now at Metro by Tmobile. Honestly, that's a good deal. For those that don't have Metro PCS right now, you can literally walk in, $50. You pay $50. Let's say you don't have a line, you don't have nothing. You pay $50. You walk out with the first month paid, and you walk out with a brand new G7.
Wow.
You can't beat that. That's
that is an incredible deal. And I mean, I'll come back to that deal in a second, but quick public service announcement. If you're looking at the visible service, get on a computer, like a desktop or a Chromebook or a laptop, and chat through there. The mobile chat is a failure. So I just wanted to do that as a public service announcement. Use a desktop browser or something like that. And back to that phone, we're talking the LG G7. We're talking a flagship from 2 years ago, right, JG?
Sorry about that. What happened? There was a comment removed by Pete. I hope everything's okay over there. What did he say?
The LG G7. We're talking about the flagship from 2 years ago, right?
The G7?
Yeah, the LG G7 you were talking about?
Oh, no. The one I'm talking about is the Moto G7.
Ah, the Moto G7. So you said it's $50?
It's $50.
Man, you can't beat that with a stick, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is an incredible device. That's a great value.
No, because you're paying that $50 is not even for the
That's for the service.
It's for the service, exactly. And for people that don't know, if you get the unlimited service, I think for $50 or $60, you get Amazon, Amazon Prime,
right?
And you get the Google One Drive, right?
Right, yeah.
Unlimited data. You can the calling, texting, and stuff like that. Hotspot, if I'm not mistaken, was about 10 gigabytes.
Well, it's good to have it. Wow. I mean, if you think about the value in just that service package, it's good. And then you're getting a 6 series processor phone.
Yeah.
We're talking. That's a slam dunk, man. 5,000 milliamp hour battery. You're charging it every 2 days.
Exactly. For those that are coming in late to the live stream, I'm going to go over them real quick. So the Moto G7, let me see if I can share my screen again with you guys. So in the beginning of the stream, we talked about this, but just for those that came in late. So the Moto G7 is at 179 and it has a Snapdragon 632. It's rocking a 3 gigabytes of RAM, 5,000 milliamp battery, 32 gigs of internal storage, 12 megapixel rear facing camera, 8 megapixel front facing camera. It has the new 9.0 operating system, 1080 resolution, and what am I missing here? Yeah, and 179. Compare that to the LG Stylo 5 that just came out. It's a disappointment. It's a complete disappointment. So if you guys want a phone, right now they have this great deal at Metro by T-Mobile. You go there, you literally just, open a new line, you get the Moto G7 for free. Okay.
When people speak about swaps, JG, they're talking about trading in a phone, correct?
So yes. When you mean you upgrade or
trading in, like sometimes they say here's a price if you swap, because people are asking in the comment section.
Interesting. Yeah, from what I know, Metro by T-Mobile does not do swaps. It does upgrades or port-ins. But let me see the comments here. Because they don't do like buy-ins, where you can bring in your old device. There are some dealers that do this, but this is not like directly from Metro. This is just something under the table that they do.
JG, Ben's son says the G7 power is 720p, not 1080p.
Which one?
The G7 power that you posted there.
So
he's saying it's 720p. I'm not sure if that's the case. I haven't seen official release. I've only seen the document you've posted.
Let me go back to.
Just go ahead and confirm so we can get clarification there. G7 power, because I know there's a difference between the G7 and the G7 power in the battery size and maybe possibly the processor. But when they do distinguish them by name, it's usually because of either a feature or two.
Okay, let me see if I can share the screen. I am now on the Metro website itself.
I've always known like G7s to usually be at a 720p when it's the lower entry level device, but maybe the power variant was a 1080p. I don't know if you have the correct information from the spec sheet from the manufacturer or the seller there, the carrier.
It is not popping up on my end, but
let's do a quick search. So is it carrier branded? Does that make a difference?
Well, the model that I was specifically talking about was the one from Metro by T-Mobile.
Metro by T-Mobile. Okay, so if we do Metro by T-Mobile Moto G7 power, I'm going to see if I can get a spec list here.
You know what's interesting? That if I remember correctly, even the A6 from Samsung had a 720p resolution, but it had better it literally had a better display, and that helped save the battery life too on the phone.
Is the Metro by T-Mobile model the same as the T-Mobile model?
I would think so.
Okay, because I would assume so also, but I mean I have to ask. So I'm seeing 720p on the T-Mobile side.
Okay.
So it's 1440 by 720. If that's the situation, then there is a price difference there, because if you're going to compare the LG Stylo 5 with a 1080p versus a 720p, I think that is a distinguishing factor. There is definitely a difference between 1080p and 720p. I don't care what anybody says. People say they can't tell the difference. I can. So I can confirm that 720p is an inferior display resolution.
Here's the thing, bro. I've actually tested a 1080 to a 720. For some reason, I agree with you for sure. The 1080 is supposed to be much better, but there are some times where I see that the display actually is more clear for some reason on the 720p. And let's not for the reason I think this, by the way, I think because the quality of the build, for example, on the Samsung one, it beat the one that was on the LG. The reason for this is because, like you mentioned earlier, they're the ones that manufacture those displays, so they probably make them better.
So there's two parts to a display. There's the build materials, And then there's the tuning of the display when it's actually put on a phone. So Samsung's going to go above and beyond not only its materials, but it's also going to fine tune it. Like if you look at an iPhone 10, I don't know if you own one, JG, or you've seen one.
Yeah.
That is a Samsung made display, but it's tuned the way Apple wants it. It's not tuned the way that Samsung wants it. Samsung super saturates all of its colors on its displays to make it pop and stand out so people say, wow, that is a Galaxy display. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you could take the same manufactured part, but tune it in a way that makes it look unique. And I think that's what we're seeing. Samsung, for example, with a 720p display versus LG's 1080p, you may still say that the Samsung 720p is better.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did the test, and I'm gonna be doing a test. I have to do a test for this, and so it's still up for debate. But there is, so far from what we know, just in the specs, the advantage with the LG Stylo 5 seems to be that it does have a 1080p resolution, and the stylus pen.
That could get somebody, JG. That might be
Yeah.
a deal breaker for some.
Probably. And so, you know what? As soon as I can get my hands on the new Metro by T-Mobile LG Stylo 5, I'll definitely, first thing I'll be doing is a comparison of the displays and see what's the biggest difference. But let's not mention, forget to mention that the Stylo 5 has 3,500 milliamp battery compared to the 5,000 milliamp battery, and the 720p does not take as much or need as much battery consumption as the 1080p resolution.
Yeah, they might actually be pretty comparable in terms of battery life.
And Heidi Kahi mentioned only Apple can make a good 720p screen. They did an amazing job on the I think it was XR.
Well, what is it, like 740 or something? Like the way they do their, like, I don't know, it's weird. It's Apple.
Yeah.
But actually the 10R is not, it's not OLED. The 10R is actually an LCD, which makes it more phenomenal because it's like, well, OLEDs are usually referred to as better.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing, I don't know if you know about the display technology. The 10R actually, if you ever get to see the interior of it, it's a display and it actually loops underneath and it curves so that it could go edge to edge because LCDs can't do what OLEDs do.
Oh,
So
wow.
so the investment that Apple put into that LCD, they're going to have to use it for about 3 years to get their money back because they dumped billions into that curved LCD that Apple's using in the 10R. They're going to have to use it at least 1 more year, if not 2 more years, because they're going to have to get the return of investment.
Yeah.
And LG is going to be a big player in OLED technology for the next couple of years. The next displays, maybe 2020 or 2021, the next displays in the iPhones might be LGs. They might not be Samsungs.
Interesting. That's going to be great to see. And although I do recall that seeing a video that the XR is selling very well with Apple, I think it's selling better than the other phones. So maybe it was ended up a good ROI, return on investment, for them doing that.
Yeah, it's just that cost, JG. It's the normal price of what people were paying 2 years ago, for flagship phones. If you were financing a phone, it was $30 a month.
Yeah.
And this keeps people at around 30 to $35 a month.
So, all right, guys, in the chat, we have about 66 people left here. You have any questions, anything we didn't cover, any lasting comments you guys want to mention, please let us know. Let me see if I can find some Samsung supplies.
If I was going to spend $200 on a device, JG, and I was thinking about all the different options we've been going over, if I could give people like just my advice, you'll never regret getting a Moto G7. You're not going to say to yourself, I wish I would have got something that the other thing I was considering, I wish I would have got that. You're never going to regret it. The only way you might say it is maybe the extra $50 towards the Samsung would have been a better way to go. But again, you're slightly bumping up in price.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say the Metro by T-Mobile model comes out at the same specs. Okay, let's not say they're going to come out with the 2 gigabytes of RAM. Let's say they come out with the 3 gigs of RAM, the same 450 Snapdragon, 3,500 milliamp battery, but at $199 compared to the $179. You think
Well,
now?
it still keeps them under 200 though. The 179 to 199 is not make or break. If it goes from 199 to 229, that's make or break to somebody, right?
Yeah.
Just that you've been in retail. I don't have to tell you, man. There's a reason why they say 199.99. They don't say 200, bro.
True. Yeah. You know what? I have a feeling that the fact that they allowed Cricket this time to introduce the phone prior to Metro by T-Mobile, they will have better specs. I'm crossing my fingers. I hope this is true. I hope that this is what they're going to be doing. If not, like I said in the beginning, this is going to be a really bad, playing field. It's not going to be a fair playing field, basically, for LG at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see them offer a better value in terms of performance. If other device manufacturers are putting in better internals and keeping the cost at the same price point, then LG is going to have a bad year, at least from the prepaid carriers and the entry level devices. It's not going to be good.
Absolutely. Okay. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching. We have 73 people still in the chat. This is crazy. Thank you guys all for watching us and staying here till the end. Shout out again to Sneed Mobile Tech. If you guys don't have his URL or his channel, I'll have the moderators, Raphael, anybody inside, please link it down below so they can go check out his channel. He has reviewed Visible Wireless, and he's going to be doing a lot of updates also on the mergers. Any lasting comments you want to say, Sneed?
Not really. I just want to thank you while everybody's here. Thank you for letting me come on the channel and join you tonight, as well as host the podcast on other nights. This has probably been my favorite podcast thus far because you've been on it. And of course,
Okay.
JG, you do know that everybody loves you, man. Like, I'm no JG replacement. I'm just here making sure that stuff gets out and you guys stay updated. And, it's good to have JG back. I'm glad he's on here, and it's been a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure to have you, man. Thank you so much. All right, guys, make sure to be subscribed to JGTechBlog to be notified about any new leaks, any new phones that are coming out, and make sure to be subscribed to Sneed Mobile Tech. Thank you all for watching, and see you guys in the next one. Take care.
See you guys. Peace.